move, smack 'em, cool, quiet.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the episode of the NBA Recap. Yes, sir, back into the video, back into the episode. And today is going to be a different video Today, man, I'm going to be reacting to your NBA hot takes, man. I surprisingly got a lot of hot takes that I want to go over. I asked on my Twitter, and random people that didn't even know, like 4 people. But random people did hit me up. Then I asked on my Snapchat. A lot of people hit me up on that. So I'm going to talk about a lot of them and give my little analysis on them. I'm wearing a hat today for reasons I don't want to talk about. So, yeah, we're gonna just skip by that. But yeah, today I'm gonna get into some of the hot takes. Without further ado, let's get into the list. Now, the first hot take of the day is Carmelo Anthony is overrated. I would say I have agreed with that because obviously Carmelo Anthony isn't the most exciting player to watch, but I feel like over his career he kind of limited himself to just jump shots, and that's pretty much it. I think the only thing that really annoys me about him is that he'll take the most closest shot ever, bro. Like he has close shot on 96, and he has close shot on 96, bro. This man will not go up for a layup, bro. He'll take the closest shot ever. That's the only thing I really care about him. But most of the time, I wouldn't go. Like I said, he's not one of my favorite players to watch. At the same time, I do like Carmelo Anthony. He's having a great season this year. Next hot take we're gonna talk about is our teams are scared of LeBron James dominating. Once again, this is another one that I do half agree with because A, I mean, whenever okay, this thing where whenever LeBron James wins a championship, somehow super teams tend to form for some reason. For some reason, I don't know why. I think it's just sometimes. I really don't think that's true, but it is a weird coincidence when you really think about it. But before I get called a LeBron James bronzexual, let me just explain that it's just facts. Like I don't really think. I think teams are scared. I think select teams are scared of LeBron James dominating the league. I know the Raptors were, but as far as like every other team, I'm not too sure about that one. LeBron James' mid-range game was underrated in Miami. I actually do agree with that. I think his mid-range game was pretty nice in Miami. He wasn't good. I mean, obviously he was a ridiculous driver to the paint. Don't get it twisted, man. But he was shooting a lot of mid-ranges though. He had some clutch mid-ranges during in the finals against the Spurs and and in different parts of the games. I believe his career high is like 61 points and he had 8 threes, but he also had a lot of mid-ranges. He did not drive to the basket that many times. So yeah, I think his mid-range game was pretty underrated back in his Miami days. I think the funny thing is that he's most skilled now than he's ever been, in my opinion. So yeah. Russell Westbrook is a cancer in the locker room. I think that's absolute BS, man. Russell Westbrook. I mean, I may be biased because Russell Westbrook is my favorite point guard of all time, but I don't think he's a cancer in the locker room. Everyone that meets him, everyone that's teammates him, says he's one of the best people in the locker room. You just saw Rui Hashimura say that he changes the diet, he changes the way the Wizards locker room is, just much more energetic. I feel like the games that they lost to have been close. I mean, obviously some of them have been blowouts, but most games that they've won, and most games that they lost, it's just that Russell Westbrook's energy. You even see Bradley Beal, the star of the team, superstar of the team, that says Russell Westbrook is his best teammate he's ever had, and that's counting John Wall, people. So, yeah, I don't think Russell Westbrook's a cancer in the locker room. I think that's just a stupid take, in my opinion. No offense to the guy who told me about this, but hey, I don't think it's true. Next one we'll talk about is Donovan Mitchell is better than Devin Booker. I disagree with that one, man. Donovan Mitchell is not better than Devin Booker, in my opinion. I feel like Devin Booker offers more on the offensive end than Donovan Mitchell. I think Donovan. I mean, he has. The only issue I have with really Donovan Mitchell is that his playmaking is really not up to par than Devin Booker's playmaking. And Devin Booker has Chris Paul on his team, so his playmaking should significantly go down, but it hasn't. So I think Donovan Mitchell. He hasn't. Don't get it twisted, man. Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell has gotten better at his playmaking, especially this year, because they've been sharing the ball a lot down there in Utah, or up there in Utah. But I think that Devin Booker, his playmaking is really great. Obviously, he can score the ball better than almost anyone, and the way this guy gets to his spots is so ridiculous, man. He's also playing with Chris Paul, and that team's successful, man. So I think that Devin Booker is better than Donovan Mitchell. So I disagree with this statement. Mike Conley should not have been an All Star. Um, I also agree with that. I feel like it should have been. I feel like it should have been DeMar DeRozan, in my opinion, because DeMar wasn't having a great season, and he's carrying that team. He carried that team to the fifth seed, I believe, at that point in time. So I do I do think that it's kind of like weird that he didn't really that he got in just because the Jazz were the first seed in the West. I don't think this Jazz I don't think this Jazz team has really impressed. I mean, I guess in recent weeks they haven't really impressed because they've been losing a lot of games recently. But like I said, at that point in time, I really don't think it should have been like that. Because Mike Klein is a great player. Maybe because he's been shunned for the past, I don't know, 10 years because of him not being able to All-Star. I feel like he should have been an All-Star before. I'll definitely give you that. But as far as this year, man, I think he should have went to DeMar DeRozan or Shai Alexander. I know their teams are pretty. I mean, I know the Thunder is pretty bad, but at the same time, they're winning tough games, and Shai has been the catalyst of that. So I think that Shai should probably have been the guy to go to. The next one I want to talk about is Hakeem Olajuwon was better than Shaq. Um, Let me just get this down straight. Shaq is a top five player of all time. I think he's the best. I To me personally, Hakeem Olajuwon is my favorite center of all time. But as far as like who's actually the best, I feel like Shaq is because he's so dominant and that the way he was able to sometimes like bring the ball up and go all the way full court was pretty insane. But I do think the Hakeem Olajuwon is better than Shaq. Offensively, I think he had some specific shots that I like. Believe he had some I believe he had some turnaround mid ranges that I like. I think offensively he was a dominant force. Like especially even Shaq was like Shaq would just power dunking on you, man. And that's pretty much all he really did on the offense. His role on them Lakers, the Heat, and like the Magic days, or just dunk, rebound, and grab and block some shots. That was pretty much his only role. Sometimes he would run the offense a little bit, but most of the time it was real. As far as Hakeem, like on those Rockets teams, man, he was just insane. Like he was insane. I loved the offensive game and defensively. Obviously, he was that dude. So I think that it's so incredible that I think as far as an all around player, Hakeem Olajuwon was better than Shaq, but I still think Shaq is the best center of one of the best is the best center of all time. But in my personal opinion, my favorite guy to watch was Hakeem. Um, LeBron James I love a lot of LeBron James ones. LeBron James does not make his teams better. I agree with that, but let me explain. I think LeBron James doesn't make his teammates better, but he makes his teammates easier for them. Let me explain why. I think that, and I'm going to go a step further. I think LeBron James makes his superstar teammates. It makes the game easier for his superstar teammates. Let me explain why. Anthony Davis did not. Anthony Davis. I'm going to use the current example. Anthony Davis did not. He won one playoff series against the Blazers, and then got. I think he got. I think he got defeated by Golden State for 4-1. And I know that was Golden State, but at the same time, he's never won. I think he's only been to what, two playoffs before his championship run. And when he linked up with LeBron James, they won a championship. I think that for his game is also his game elevated more than like his game elevated to like extreme heights. Like this guy was hitting tough shot after tough shot, and I think that LeBron James made it easier for him. He was catching easy lobs, getting easy buckets in the paint, getting easy wide open threes. I think LeBron James makes his teammates it makes it the game easier for his teammates. As far as making teammates better, I like don't think so. I mean, sometimes they are, but most of the time, I think it makes it easier for them. You saw what happened. Timothy Mozgov got like I don't know how many. I don't know a big ass contract from the Lakers after his Cavs run. And why? Because LeBron just made it easier for him. So I think that LeBron just makes his teammates easier in the game rather than just like making them better. My next take, Jamal Murray would be great if he was not if he was not so inconsistent. Excuse me. I disagree. As far as I love Jamal Murray, man. He's on my fantasy team, and he does put up some stupid stingers sometimes, and he is inconsistent. But I feel like when he is consistent, he is a great player. But I don't think he's a great. I don't think you'd be like top five, maybe top five point guards. As far as like a great as far as like the list, I don't think you would be there just because there's so many guys out there. You got Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Kyrie, so many point guards, Trey Young, Luka Doncic, so many point guards that are above him, in my opinion. But I do think that if he was more consistent, he would definitely be more respectable. I think he would definitely be an all star if he was playing it the way he. We saw we saw what happened in the bubble, man. I think if he did that, maybe he would definitely be maybe a top 7 point guard. But as far as like, I mean, the way they run the things in Denver is so weird because they always run the Jamal Murray Nikola Jokic 2-man game. So like I think he would be better when he has the ball more in his hands. But obviously Nikola Jokic is there. He probably won't be doing that. But at the same time, it's good to know that he has this spurt when he can go off. We saw last night he had 34 points, hit clutch threes. So like I think when he's consistent, he'll definitely be a top guy in this league. Definitely. Michael Jordan indeed had flaws. I agree. I think Michael Jordan. No player is perfect, and people and I know the old heads Jordan fans are gonna say Michael Jordan was a killer mentality. Michael Jordan did this. Michael Jordan did that. He had no flaws in his game. Yes, he did. I'm sorry. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Now we all know Michael Jordan was a great defender. Great defender. But in those close games, he did not guard the best player. It was Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen all around was the best defender on that team. I'm making that right now. I'm making that right now. Michael Jordan was not the best defender on his team. I think don't get twisted. Some years he was the best defender for most of his 13-year career. His 13-year career, and for once, he was obviously with Chicago. Scottie Pippen was the best defender on that team, in my opinion. Michael Jordan definitely deserved the defensive player of the year. Obviously, he's going great. He's obviously a great defender. He'll get you some steals, some blocks. But as far as like one-on-one defense, team defense, and individual stats, Scottie Pippen overall was a better defender than Michael Jordan. So I think he did have some flaws. Obviously, he couldn't shoot the three ball very well. Honestly, the three ball wasn't really emphasized at that point, but obviously he still couldn't shoot the three ball, so I will hold that against him. But as far as all around game, obviously he's Michael Jordan, so things happen. Dame is not a top three point guard. I think that's blasphemous. I think he's definitely top two. I think he's definitely second as far as point guards. It's definitely Steph. As far as this season, it's Steph, Dame, and Kyrie Irving. Um, well, actually, I might have to put Luka in there. Maybe I might put Luka over Kyrie Irving. Actually, no. So it's Steph, Dame, Luka, and Kyrie Irving. Sometimes Luka switches from being a point guard, shooting guard, small forward. It's ridiculous sometimes, but I think that he's definitely a top 2 point guard. The way he's carried the Trailblazers is ridiculous, man. It's really crazy how he's able to do that, and that he's been able to do that without CJ McCollum, without Yusuf Nurkic, and now that he has a guy back, I think he's definitely an MVP candidate, and he is definitely a top 2 point. The way he ices games at the end of the regular season is stupid. I saw this thing on TikTok that kind of made me upset. I don't usually go on TikTok that often, but I saw this thing where Damian Lillard had that one game. Damian had that game recently where he had 50 points, like 20 shots, right? And people were like, well, in the playoffs, he's done this. He got sweated like this. He got in the 2018 playoffs, he got swept by the Golden State Warriors. Blah 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 blah. Blah. But what happened in the first series against the Thunder? Hit the most disrespectful shot in NBA history. Hitting up almost damn near a 40-footer against OKC, sending them home and doing this to them. Ridiculous, bro. Damian Lillard is definitely a clutch player, one of the great clutch players we've ever seen. Definitely up there with the top point guards, and definitely should be a guy that people should consider for the MVP this season. And it's just the trolls that say that Damian Lillard's not the best point guard. I think he's definitely top two. Steph is obviously better than him, but I think in my opinion, Damian Lillard is top two. The next hot take we're gonna talk about is Kevin Durant's legacy is tarnished from Golden State. Um, no, because I mean people will say that because he went to Golden State, his legacy was tarnished. His championships don't mean nothing. Obviously, that's some bullshit. Like every championship means something, no matter which team you go to. Every championship does mean something. But people will always remember that he did go to a stacked Golden State team. But in my opinion, Kevin Durant's legacy is not tarnished, especially if he wins one with Brooklyn this year. I know what you're thinking. He went to another super team. And I will say, people who love Kevin Durant. I'm not. I mean, I love Kevin Durant, but I'm not like his. I'm not his I'm not his bitch. That's what I'm saying. I'm not his bitch. I'm just gonna say that when Kevin Durant went to Brooklyn, and James Harden came. You're telling me Brooklyn did not? You telling me Brooklyn did not go with Kevin Durant if James Harden wants to go there? Kevin Durant is the guy of that team, and you tell me that you wouldn't have his approval of James Harden going there? Ridiculous, man. The same thing with Blake Griffin. Even Blake Griffin said Kevin Durant was the main one that recruited me. So I think he wants teammates, man. He's doing what LeBron James did back in the day. But at the same time, I think his is more to a higher state. But the Brooklyn Nets team is not. Brooklyn Nets team is not Golden State. Golden State as a team was way better than the Nets because the Nets have still flaws that they have to work through. But as far as his legacy being tarnished, absolutely not. All right, absolutely not. John Stockton is better than Isaiah Thomas. Hell no. Okay. As much as I love John Stockton, he is not better than Isaiah Thomas. But Isaiah Thomas was that dude in Detroit, man. Isaiah Thomas was that guy that was doing everything he could to win. John Stockton, I understand, was a great player. And I know Isaiah Thomas played with the Bad Boy Pistons, played with the Pistons, and he had some great moments with them. He had some great teammates. But John Stockton was just not better than him, man. Isaiah Thomas was a guy he's not even that great. He wasn't even that great of an all-around player, but I think he was just better than John Stockton. Now I understand John Stockton is the all-time leader in assists and I believe steals, but I think he played with a guy in Karl Malone, the second leading scorer of all time in the NBA. So of course he can be a great team. I don't think he averaged like 11 plus assists a lot of times, but he was just not great than Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was so much better, and did not play with that many great teammates. He played with good defensive teammates, but not offensive teammates. So yeah, that's just really not true. And John Stockton was kind of, and I might make a video later about John Stockton because I do want to talk about his legacy and why people don't really talk about him as much as people talk about other players. But yeah, I'm planning on doing a video on John Stockton. Jimmy Butler is overrated. Bullshit. I love Jimmy Butler, man. Jimmy Butler do it. If you would tell me Jimmy Butler in the East, Jimmy Butler with the Bulls overrated, I can make a case for that, but I wouldn't agree with you. But I can see why you make a case. But as far as right now, every team he has gone on, he's taken them to the playoffs. The Timberwolves made their first playoff push in like how many years? Look what happened after he left. They have not made a playoff since. Obviously, they got blown up by the Rockets, but that was their first playoffs in I don't even know how many years. And then he went to this Philly, man. Philly was one bouncing ball away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And Jimmy Butler was on that team. He went to the Heat. They made it to the finals. Obviously, they got beat by the Lakers, but he made it to the finals. Jimmy Butler was clearly the best player on that team. Bam was a close second. But as far as Jimmy Butler, he's a great player. His all-around game has really improved. His playmaking has been ridiculous. His rebounding has been ridiculous, man. These guys, I would consider that guy a walking triple-double at this point, man. This is how great he is. Next thing we want to talk about is Derrick Rose MVP season was overrated. I would have to agree with that because Derrick Rose obviously had the greatest MVP season we've ever seen for a 21-year-old. He's obviously the youngest MVP ever, and LeBron James should have probably won the MVP. But I will say now, Derrick Rose had so many moments in that season, man, where he was just doing crazy things for the Bulls. Um, Bulls fans love Derrick Rose. I love Derrick Rose. I think that year was just a year for him, man. It was just a year for him, man. He had to win it that year. Because without it, people would say he was a bust because he got injured so many times and this and that. I don't think so, man. LeBron James probably would have won the MVP that year, and I probably would have voted for LeBron James if I had a vote. But I will not say Derrick Rose MVP season was overrated. The next thing we'll talk about is currently constructed. The Celtics will never win a chip. I 100% agree with that. The way the Celtics have been blowing stuff these last couple of games. I'm not going to overreact to this game because it is almost the later end of the season. But the Celtics as currently constructed will not win a chip. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals like what 3 out of 4 times, 4 to 5 times. Ridiculous. But I think that as a team, the way they're currently structured, I think they're just missing something. They're missing that center they're missing that stretch center that they need. They had the thing on Miles Turner. They had Miles Turner literally right down their lap, and they did not let him. They did not approach him. Danny Ainge is somewhere on his head, man. I don't know what's good with him, but as far as them not make going all the way, I think that is true. They will not go all the way, in my opinion. So yeah. And the last the last one we're gonna talk about is Ben Simmons is overrated, man. Ben Simmons overrated. I will not agree with that one. I think the only issue I have with Ben Simmons is that it's just that his jump shot, man. I hate to say it, but it's just his jump shot. At least take a mid range, man. He doesn't even try them. Like, don't that's Ben Simmons. I see a lot of people saying this about Ben Simmons. I agree. Ben Simmons is literally a LeBron James without a jump shot. I think if he gains a jump shot, a mid range shot, he would be LeBron James, maybe even a little bit better. Because the way he attacks the floor, his defense is great. His offensive game, as offensive game, as far as facilitating against the paint, is ridiculous. But if he just gets a mid range shot, a mid range, he will be one of the greatest players we've ever seen. The way he can do everything on the floor reminds me of LeBron James. So I think that for him, he just needs to gain a jump shot. Honestly, it's just a mid-range jump shot. I know Philly fans are gonna be like, "Well, LeBron James didn't have the best jump shot ever, but he still took him." Like shit, man. This man, ugh. Ben Simmons. That's the only thing that irks me about Ben Simmons. Man doesn't even attempt them. But at the same time, I think he's not an overrated player. I think he's definitely a young star in this league. And definitely a great two-way player, and maybe should be defensive player of the year this year. Who knows? But that was that for this video, man. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, and yeah. As always, we out. Peace.
Why do they get up and leave? Tell you they love you, then get up and leave. I show the loyalty.